everyone, it's Cindy. Welcome back to Dephemerember here at Studioloo. We are on day number 12, which is Kintsugi Houses. And I have to tell you that this prompt has been in my head probably as the one that I wanted to play with the most on the whole prompt list for a couple of reasons. One, because I feel like I have something to talk about because I am also a potter, and whenever I hear kintsugi, it is always met with mixed emotion. And I've got to tell you, because in the paper world, I think it's a very exciting, fun thing to think about kintsugi. But in the pottery world, we get a little bit cranky with the term kintsugi and the idea of kintsugi as this like fix-it-all, end-all, be-all thing. So what I'm doing here, I'm going to work and talk to you about my thoughts on kintsugi, but I'll just explain a little here. So I have this folder. This is like one of those long file folders that would sit in the hanging folders in an office. So this project today, I think, is going to be one that is going to be lots of bang for your buck. Like, we're going to get a lot of pieces made out of a relatively simplistic method here. So I'm just going to go across here and I'm going to draw house shapes all connected, and then I'm going to cut that out. But you will see me do it, so let's go ahead. So kintsugi is the concept of, if you break something in pottery, ceramics, that you can then mend it with the process of applying liquid gold to it to mend that seal. So there's lots of things to kind of know about that. So first of all, it doesn't always work. If you're a ceramicist who is working with things that are designed to be eaten from, like a dish, kintsugi will not work because it does not actually seal your piece. It won't make it food safe. Using gold, sorry, I don't like this. I did it too high. Using gold is not something you want on food safe ceramics. So the other thing about pottery in general is that it is the kind of most risky craft that you can do, in my opinion, because there are so many ways to mess up a piece of pottery. You'd be amazed. I think I've probably discovered all of them. So when you're working with clay, I'll go through the steps of how you can mess up pottery. When you're working with clay, you can kind of wedge it in correctly, and you can trap air inside, and it can make your clay really hard to work with. And it can, you can be on a wheel and you've got this beautiful form, and then all of a sudden, because you have an air bubble or something goes weird, it either can go flying or it can get misshapen, or when you're cutting it off, you find that you have a bubble in the base of your piece. All sorts of fun things like that can happen. So I'm just going for a few different kinds of house shapes here. So then on top of that, there we go. So I just sort of kind of have to think 1, 2, 3, 4. So that'll give us 8. Okay. So now I'm going to, I think, just cut the top of this off here. I just don't need to deal with all this. Okay, get rid of those scraps. So then, once you have your pieces made, you didn't get any air bubbles, nothing bad happened when you were shaping the wet clay. You then have what we call greenware, which is clay that has now dried. It's formed. It's dried evenly. It didn't crack while it was drying. That's another stage that can get messed up. And so essentially, you're all good to go ahead and bisque your piece, which is the first firing of your work. So if you don't drop it, you know, while you're getting it in the kiln, or there's not an explosion in the kiln, or something weird doesn't happen while you're firing the greenware, then you're still good to go. So I'm going to cut out just this one, just the one side, not the back side one, just this one. Actually, you know what? I am going to cut both out. Now that I think of it, it'll be fine. What I'm doing will work fine, and we'll get the work done twice as fast if I do this. So now you've successfully fired your piece. Congratulations, because now it's glazing time. And glazing is a whole other learning curve, because you can mess up glazing by glazing too thickly, too thinly. The glaze recipe doesn't work for some reason. You accidentally get wax, which is used as a resist on the bottom of ceramic pieces. You get wax on your piece, or your piece gets bumped up against something and some of your glaze comes off. Or the kiln just doesn't fire properly on that second glaze firing, or something else that ends up having moisture or a bubble or whatever happens, blows up in the kiln with your piece. Or maybe once you've got it all out of the kiln and it's this perfect thing, you drop it or you chip it, or something afterward presents itself. Like, oh, as it turns out, this glaze causes crazing, which is all these cracks that, while they look lovely, they're not food safe. So, you know, what happens often when you're a potter and you are trying to like express your frustration about something that went wrong, the very first thing that a non-potter will say to you is, oh, just use Kintsugi. Especially when people drop things. That is like the most common like thing I see, like people say on places like Facebook pottery groups. And I have a girlfriend who, I've got to say, I won't mention her name because I don't have permission, but she is one of the most inspiring and incredible potters that I know. But she's also someone who like does not at all understand her value. Like, oh my gosh, not at all. And I love her to bits, and I hope one day she sees herself like we all see her, because she's a superstar in the pottery and the person world. Okay, so I'm going to open this up. So see how we have 8 houses now, essentially. You see them there? So I'll get back to my story as soon as I explain this to you. So I've got a few papers, and I wanted to go kind of neutral today. So I've got this little scrap of marble paper from the paper trail. I didn't want one that was too flashy, but I liked this. Then I have a few of these pages from like a 1790s book, like a religious book, I think. This is some coffee dyed lined paper that got really weird and cool. This is a paper bag from Howard Ironworks. Then I chose a few different kinds of book pages because I want these different colors. This one's really cool. It's from an old, an old mechanic manual. So all these things, I'm going to tear them all into strips, and I'm going to collage this entire thing to make like a surface background. Okay, so that will be our next step here. So to begin the collage, I'm just going to cover the surface of this first house over here with glue, and over here too. I'll just kind of go maybe across the top a little bit, across this whole line, and then we'll be able to add our strips of torn paper. So maybe I'll start with a bit of this. Just little thin kind of like strips, and if you want to, you can literally just crisscross. We're going to cut the excess off the back anyways, and then I'm just going to, like, you know, alternate between papers. Put that down this way. Some of this nice marble paper. The house is so quiet today because my My daughter's actually not feeling so good today. She's resting today, so she's home from school. She's just got a little bit of a sore throat and a cough. It's not the dreaded though. I've tested her a couple of times and she doesn't seem to have enough symptoms for it to be anything like that, thankfully. But she feels no good just the same, so I will be checking on her after I make this video. So my husband just ran out to ship my Patreon packages for this month, so all my little Patreons will get their goodies in the mail soon because they are awesome, and we'll see when they arrive. Hopefully, I don't know if they'll get there before the holiday. I would imagine so. We're still quite early, but I know things get busy, so I try to get them out as soon as possible. Okay. I'm going to go in and fill in gaps afterward if I have some gaps. No worries there. Some of this brown paper. I really like these low-key projects. They're so nice and relaxing on a day like today, when otherwise everything is busy and hectic. Oops. Pull that out of there. My finger is too gluey. I keep tearing the paper the wrong way. I'm just kind of like gluing and then doing another row of glue across the folder. I think I'm going to spend the holidays, like after work is out, just kind of catching up in my spare time on Dephemerember videos. It's a nice time to find like new people to subscribe to, and I've already found a couple and met a couple like nice people like virtually that I've chatted with a little bit, which is great. Always happy to meet new friends on this platform. I have a really lovely group of people who follow me here that leave me the nicest comments, and just it's nice to have a little collection of friends here that hang out with me while I do these things. I don't know, it's like a warm feeling that's hard to explain. Like you just feel like, okay, yeah, let's make a video, because you know that there's somebody out there who may enjoy it. It might make their day a little more relaxing, or give them something to be inspired about, or give them an idea, or just make them feel connected. Because yeah, I definitely enjoy YouTube for a lot of those same reasons. Okay. Maybe some of this. Another line of this. We're getting there. I thought I would pause, but I think I'll just keep going and won't be too much longer. Made my daughter some nice chicken and rice soup and some Asian pear and some grapes that I cut in half. So hopefully she's eating. She loves Asian pear, so let's give her some fever reducer and stuff so she doesn't get feeling all yucky, because she's got a little bit of a fever. But so many viruses going around right now, it's just a pain, because she's got all sorts of stuff going on right now with school and activities, because I think a lot of things, you know, they try to get it done before the holidays, and that can be hard when kids are sick. So I got an email from the school today saying, like, try to have the kids at school tomorrow, because there's like this, I mean, it's a paid event too, it's like a science thing they're having, like a science expo at school. So hopefully she'll be good to go. Okay. I like these neutral colors. It's like not often that I work so neutral. It's kind of nice. Oops. Getting all these little pieces. Get these roofs all gluey again like we did the other end. A little bit of brown. Yes, I'm hoping over the next couple of weeks, as the holiday season kind of gets into full swing, that we start to see some changes in the world. I'm very, feeling very, I think, emotionally exhausted by world events right now. Also kind of angry, and anger is a hard emotion for me to deal with. I feel like anger and the feeling of being like not listened to, like as a society, I feel like these days it feels a lot more prevalent than I've ever experienced in my life. I guess it's like any other time where we've called for peace in this world, and for whatever selfish reasons our leaders aren't listening. But yeah, it's kind of hard to, I mean, understatement of the year, you know, to just carry on sometimes with everything that's going on. And I don't like to talk about it here because, not because I'm not thinking about it, but I know that, you know, several of my followers, not only is it just like they come here for tranquility or something, that's not enough of a reason for me to not talk about these things, but I know that some people that I care about do watch this channel, that it's sort of like a mental health thing, that they need like a break from the stuff that they're taking in every day. And I get it. I completely get it. trying to talk to my daughter about activism and teaching activism again this year. We've covered this topic several times in homeschooling already, but it's a little complicated when you're in a very diverse school system with a lot of different messages that are happening that are kind of beyond your insight, right? And so for me, I want to know that whatever she might be seeing or hearing at school, that like the principles align with you know, how we feel about, I guess, just innocent children being hurt. You know, having my daughter understand big concepts is really important to me. So yeah, it's a lot of stuff to think about and a lot of stuff to teach about. Okay, so that being said, I will move off this topic and head back to the project. We have collage everything. So I just pulled that paper backing off that I had underneath it, and here we can see all the scrappy bits, right? So we'll go ahead and we'll trim off all those excess scraps. Just kind of stay along your template line. These scissors are so heavy, I'm going to put them down. They're my fabric scissors that I'm allowed to use on paper. They're in that special category. Fabric scissors that I bought specifically to be able to use on both fabric and paper and not be upset that they get a little duller. They haven't seemed to so far, but we'll see. They're also easy to sharpen, and my husband is quite good at sharpening scissors for me, so. Okay. Most of this is going to be quite easy. As I was falling asleep last night, I wish I knew. I guess I could look in my history on my YouTube. I was watching the most lovely video. It was not English language. I don't even necessarily know. It was some kind of probably Eastern European language. They were making the prettiest little snow globe out of like a glass bottle with an outer paper casing, like with putty. I'm not sure what kind of putty. I think it was called like universal putty. Never heard of it before. But yeah, I was like, that's a really nice project. But I was very sleepy. I was falling asleep. Right. There we go. So let's get rid of all these little bits and sticky papers and scrappy bits. Okay, done and done and done. All right. So now we have this, and I really like it. It's so cute. And I just need to decide what else I want to do to kind of add a little bit of something to these houses. And I'm going to get some paint. I'll be right back. Okay, so I just want to add a little bit of this Paradise paint. I really love this paint. It's very nice. I'm just going to actually use the cap. I don't want a ton. I just want to kind of come in and dry brush in a few little spots, like just very gently. That's a little too heavy. It's okay, I can fix it. I'm going to also be adding a little coffee on here, so where it feels too heavy, I can lighten it back up again, because I don't want this to get like kind of not neutral, you know what I mean? I want it to stay neutral. And that actually is what I want to do. Now I need to come in with my glue stick and just hit any of those little sticky uppy bits here. Lay them down. This one. It's just things that I kind of knocked about with the paintbrush that need a little extra glue. Okay, it's feeling pretty good. This one. Okay. Now I'm just going to spray some coffee. This is just coffee. Oh, I think I need to unclog this bottle, or I need to tighten this. Hold on. There we go. So it's just coffee and alcohol so that we don't get any mold. So now that the coffee is on there, I'm just going to give it just a moment to kind of be coffee and do its thing. And then I'll come in with a book page and we'll just sop up this excess. Just going to give a little extra staining. Nothing too dramatic. Okay. Then I'm just going to come in again with my heat gun. And if you wanted to like Mod Podge over this, you could. I don't think it's necessary, and you'll see why. Because this is going to actually become 8 separate houses. So, you know, as you can tell, I've already put in a good amount of work on this piece, right? So if you go back to my thoughts about pottery, you know, I guided you through, oh, don't worry about this. We can come back with glue. Don't worry if you get too much paint. We can fix it with coffee. Don't worry about, you know, this, that, the other thing. We can do this and that. So, you know, I think that's pretty, much like the thoughts of like junk journal work, because nothing has to be perfect necessarily. I mean, I don't know that that's true. I think things have to be whatever like your vision of perfect is, because I know for me, like, I don't just go like, oh, I don't care if that's flapping around. I actually quite do. So I'd say I spent a decent amount of time on this, and I feel like it's going to be a really nice base for 8 houses, right? This is how they're going to look. We're going to cut them apart. I'm pretty excited about this. So like, what should happen, you know, if I'm running along and all this work I just did, and then again, no. Oh, and again, oh my gosh. And then the bully on the schoolyard says, these houses are so silly. Why do you waste your time? So this is what I'm trying to make you understand about Kintsugi, is at a moment like this, when you put so much work into something, I mean, to think you expect me to be excited about Kintsugi? Do you know how much of my time on a busy day I just spent doing this, and now it's essentially ruined? And someone says, well, here you go, fix it with Kintsugi, you're good. So what am I going to do with all this sarcasm? I'm actually going to go over to the sewing machine. I'm going to zigzag stitch in a nice dark thread over all these tears, and yeah, I'm going to make them slightly more dramatic even. I'm going to repair this with stitching, because, you know, I don't have molten gold at my disposal. So you want a good amount of rips so that every one of your houses will have some fracture to it. But I wouldn't recommend cutting them apart, okay? Because this is control here. This is like, we have one piece of paper, it's controlled, right? So I'm going to go to the sewing machine. I can't bring you along because I don't want to move my camera setup. But I'm going to fix this all up with stitching, which you will see, and I'll be right back. So I have now stitched this to the best of my ability, fixing it. But you know, sometimes with things that get ruined, you lose bits of paper and you can't get it perfect again, right? So now I just want to work on the base of this again. I'm going to take some antique linen to just tone down some of this blue. I don't want to lose that neutral, right? So I do like the blue, but I just want it to be kind of background, not super visible. Kind of like, you know, a house that has lost its old paint and is peeling, and this is a good color for this, because you don't completely lose the tone of what you've got going on here. Okay. Right, I think on the most part that is better. It's kind of more toned down. Now we need to get, I guess, we want to do the backing first or the kintsugi? Maybe the backing. So my idea here is I've got all these threads and things. I'm just going to fold them in, and I want to add a backing to this whole thing first. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull all these threads in. Then I'm going to just back this with glue, because these are just glue stick, because these are going to get stitched around individually, I suspect. So yeah, I'm not going to worry too hard about using a really heavy duty glue. And I'm not cutting them apart quite yet. I just noticed one of the tears that I forgot to stitch. But you know, that's the whole thing, is that you can't restore something to what it was. And sometimes that's okay, and other times it's not. So I'm just going to take the seam, I think, of this folder and lay it on the seam of the other folder. They're the same, the two folders that I used, right? So in theory, we just get one nice big instantaneous backing. Okay. So now these are certainly structurally sound. Let's go in and get rid of all this excess paper. Just going to come in with a bit of art glitter glue in the spaces where I see I have a tear that does not want to lie down. It's right there is good. Okay, so I'll wait to cut these off the backing when I cut them apart. I think I'll come in right now with the kintsugi method that I want to use. So I'm going to be using actually a tester's paint that's typically used on like model cars or things that you're building. So this is there's so many warnings on this paint that it's flammable. So it's from the Tester Corporation. You see these in like toy and hobby stores. They're an enamel based paint. I have all sorts of different gold paints, but I wanted to use this one today because it's the most kind of like what the application of liquid gold is like, to be honest. It's very like this enamel paint, except that I'm not at any risk of burning myself and I can use a paintbrush to do so here. So I'm just going to go over all those places that I stitched with this liquid gold here, and I'm just going to be a little messy about it to get some splatters and things. And I'm going to, in the spots where I tore little bits away, I'm going to like fill that with gold too, let it pool in there. And I want to cover up all the colored thread. we've got this big spot here, and we've still got some tearing right there, so I've got to kintsugi that. Being very generous with this enamel paint. You think about the cost of real kintsugi nowadays. Oof. It would have to be a pretty special piece to get repaired with gold. Though I have to say, Japanese culture is really good at making things very special. Even when, you know, they kind of are something negative. The Japanese have a lot of really good, healthy perspectives. On creativity and a lot of other things. I love the little splatters I'm getting from just being messy. Okay, I believe I have covered all my tears. Let's do a few more little spatters for the fun of it. Okay. Just looking for other little spots that need a little repair work. Well, that's that one spot that I missed right there. Okay. So now put your lid back on your tester glue. Don't forget, because this stuff is very smelly and it can be very messy. And never put the lids on too tightly because you will never get them off again. And this is my little tiny paintbrush. I never wash it with water because I use it for oil-based and enamel-based paints. I just kind of dry it in a book page like this. It's a very tiny little brush because I usually use it for detailing of gold. I recommend keeping a brush like this because you'll never get it clean. It doesn't matter what solution you put it in. So this clearly needs some drying time, and I'm going to give that to it. And then when we come back, I'm going to work on embellishing these houses. Probably I will cut them apart and we'll work on them individually with some fun things. Okay, so this is about dry. Not quite, almost. Just gonna take the heat gun and hit a few places. Heat gun is kind of cool because it will actually melt the threads, and in any of the wet paint, it will make it bubble up and get kind of rough. Okay. Done. So now I think I am comfortable to go ahead and finally cut these apart. Looks like the back of this, some of that, the oil from that enamel paint soaked through. I'm not bothered by that at all, actually, so it's all good. Let's just make our crease. Okay. Now I need to cut this in half. Be easier to do on this side where I have this line. There we go. So now we can go ahead and cut these apart. and just trim off the excess. Okay. This is the one with the funny roof. I gotta say, I love how these feel. That collaged paper has such a nice feel to it. And don't worry if all the glue's not like sticking this down to the backing. Like I said, we're gonna stitch around these, but I think that'll be the last step. Okay, so get rid of those. Now cut these ones apart. And I like how with my indiscriminate tears, like it doesn't look like it was planned where the kintsugi would be, which it essentially wasn't. That's the nice thing about when you're making something that's collage based and then you're going to be cutting it up later. When you're collaging, you're not necessarily thinking about how everything is going to come together because it's sort of hard to predict. Now we need to start embellishing on these houses. So let's just move all the scraps out of the way here. All right, so now we have 8 houses. With kind of like 4 different shapes, right? So now we'll just lay them all out in pattern so that I get them all within frame mostly. Yeah, pretty good. Okay. So these houses need embellishing, inhabitants, etc. So I've got some little Tim Holtz people here. I grabbed 8 of the smaller Tim Holtz people. So I'm going to assign one to each of these houses. So it's housing day here in little Kintsugi land, and these folks are all going to get a house today. Oh, she is so cute. Oh my goodness. That little bow in her hair. This little tall guy, he can stay here. This man and his dog. This one is leaning on something, so we'll have to have something for him to lean on. These are the newlyweds here. And then this sweet little girl with a basket. I'm going to kind of put it opposite where I can see the kintsugi. I don't want to cover it all up because we did all this work, right? So now we need some other embellishments. I did take the liberty ahead of the video of cutting out with my die cut machine some die cuts in this black of doors and windows from just a random selection that I have. So they're little though, but I don't really think it matters, to be completely honest. I'm not looking for, you know, extreme size realism. Like, we're having fun. It's not about that. And maybe there's a foreground and a background. I also kept some of these, which are like from an old photo album. And I thought they could be like a fun little add-on to some of the roofs. Maybe here on this one. And here on this one. And I might just see if can I tear this? Kind of. I just want to rough the edge up a little bit. There we go. So it's not so straight. This one will give her a window. This is like a big kind of shuttery window. And we can also cut these apart if we want them to be a little smaller. So I'm going to do that with this one. Where are my scissors all of a sudden? Here's, oh, it's not the ones. Here they are. So we can actually cut this shutter off. Maybe we'll put the shutter here, and he'll be kind of leaning on this window. And then the other shutter can go here. Then I've got this bigger window here. There was one more man who was leaning. Let's have him leaning on that window. And you know, you can put something behind the windows like silver paper or fabric curtains, you know, something like that would be pretty cute. Like I've got kind of shabby, you know, fabric I could put back there like that in behind. So if I don't know where my scissors went. Are they on the floor? No. They're enormous. How could they be lost? Huh. Lost in plain sight, these big scissors. They're giant black scissors. Maybe I took them over to my sewing machine. I don't know. Okay. Anywho, I'm going to cut a piece of this to just fit in here. And it doesn't even have to cover or like the whole thing, because it could just be a curtain that's behind a window, right? Sort of like that. So we could just trim it. These scissors really hate to deal with fabric. Okay. There we go. So kind of like that, you know, you have a shutter, or not a shutter, a curtain. Okay, so this one has the little door and a bit of distance. Then we've got more of this. Do we want to put maybe a little piece on here? Well, that's got shiny stuff. Let's get rid of that. Shiny. Oh, you don't want the shiny. From a vintage photo album. Out there, and maybe a little bit right here. I just like the black with these colors. I think it's kind of cool. So then I've got, let me just punch out these little tiny bits of paper that didn't come out when I was die cutting. See if I can't fold this out. I want them to look kind of gnarly. There, like that. What else do we need? Do we need another window over here? Maybe a little door on there. I also cut out these little birds just because they're like little geese and I thought they were fun. They're kind of like the geese that are flying overhead at my house right now. I thought it would add another little fun theme We have another window we could add maybe here. Another tiny window. I think I will put here for her. Couple more of these birds. Maybe one here. Last night I went with my daughter to see the new Ghibli film, The Boy and the Crane, the Heron, The Boy and the Heron. Oh, it was amazing. Highly recommend. I'm gonna put that one up there. Okay, do we need any other bits and bobs? I don't think so. I don't think I want to put a door on this one. It's a little too small, at least that type of door. That one also is a little small. I kind of like just the window on this one. The door doesn't need to be there. Okay, so just give me a moment. I'm going to glue all these down with art glitter glue and then I'll come back. So in the interest of using things up, I decided I want to do one more step on here that I wanted to share with you. So I'm just putting a little bit of Fabri-Tac at the bottom. And for 4 of these, I want to take some of this coffee dyed lace that I have hanging around, and I want to put it at the bottom of the piece. So I didn't want you to miss out on that step in case you were interested. And I'll just put these guys on with Fabri-Tac as well, because they're on here. But I'm not going to lay them down yet because I want to put my window on first. And this is the one with the shutters, so I'm not going to glue the shutters, like the inside of the shutters. So I'm going to just leave that up. Do I want that to go that way or that way? This way, because I want it to kind of look like a windowsill at the bottom. So stick that all down. Let those shutters come open. And then I can stick these guys down. And then our bird. I feel like this is a good luck goose flying overhead. Okay, that's that one. And I'm going to do the same with all of these because I have this, see this big chunk of lace. So I will cut a piece for each one of these. And then we'll move those out of the way for a moment. Oops. And we'll just lay this glue on here. I just like that it adds another kind of element, but the color scheme is the same, so that's good. This little girl's my favorite. She's so sweet. Little Mary Janes. I'm a big fan of Mary Janes. Little door here, or window, I guess it's a window. Just all the fussy gluing left to do now. But there's going to be a couple more steps. So I think what I'll do, because you don't need to watch me do all this gluing, I'm sure you'll fall fast asleep. I will finish up the last 2 that I'm putting lace on, and then I'll come back and I'll show you the next step. So the next step that I want to take is I want to go around the edges of these with some black soot ink just to give them a nice outline, because I like how that looks with the black. I've already done a stack of them, but I wanted to do a couple with you to just kind of show you the difference that it makes. So just outline away. Okay, they're all outlined. Now I want to do one more kind of mixed media-ish technique. I want to take some of this. This is Sizzix Luster Wax in gold. And I want to just take a nice light bit on my finger and brush it over all these black die cuts. See that? So they stay black, but it adds, like, it brings the detail out that's embossed in the die cut. So it's kind of like another bit of kintsugi, if you will. I'll do it on these. Okay, that's the last of them. So now what I would like to do next is I'm going to go stitch around them. And now I have attempted something. I have this metallic gold thread, and I'm going to try to stitch around the edge of all of these with it, and then I'll come back, and then there's just one more thing I want to do. All right, so these have been stitched around. So you'll see the gold stitching around the edges. I really love how that finished things up. Now I wanted to show this to you. So see, these are all connected. Now stitching with that gold thread was a little tricky. So I find most metallic threads, they're not, you know, they don't have any kind of like a fiber in them, like a cotton or a wool, so they're not as strong. So they're made of like a metallic, typically a polyester type fabric, or fiber rather. So what I did was I added some black Gutermann cotton thread to the same like top bobbin. So I had two threads, the metallic and then the black, to act as a carrier for this weaker metallic. But what I noticed was when I was sewing with it, it didn't like to be pulled in between. For whatever reason, it did just fine with the speed at which the machine was pulling it, but it didn't like being pulled by me. So I just stitched them all, and then I would let I would, you know, keep sewing with nothing under the needle for a little while, and just it would add a little extra thread, and away I would go. I'd put the next one in and keep sewing. So that's kind of an easy, good technique. And oh, I love these. These feel so good. So far I feel like these would be amazing hanging on a Christmas tree, or obviously as present tags or greeting cards. I love them. So the next step that I want to take is I got a selection of 6 gold eyelets and 2 red eyelets. I want to add eyelets to these at the top. So I think for this first one, I want to test out my the little thin eyelet bits. I don't know if this is going to do anything, but you know these little endings that you often use, I guess, with fabric? It's like the backing. I wanted to see if you can use those as an eyelet, like on a thin application like this. Will they work as one? So let's just test it. Never done this before, just going to test it. Pinch. No, it doesn't. It just doesn't get enough. Yeah, it just doesn't work. Let's go with a normal one. I'll put that in there. Yes, that's much happier. Okay, so that's that one. Then I want to put a red one on one of these. I've got 2 that are red I want to use. Maybe on here. They're like these little fun, little floral ones. Maybe this one. We have a little spot for one here. And I'm not necessarily putting it in the exact middle. I love the colors, like this cherry red with that blue. Those are my wedding colors. So it just does something to my brain. It also kind of makes these feel a little more holiday-ish to me for some reason. This one I'm going to put right through one of the holes in the top here, like so. This will be a gold one. Whoops, I'll just put the eyelet on here. Oh, did I have 2? Yeah, that was the problem. Okay. Oops. There we go. Done. This one. one on there. This one I'll go red because there's lots of blue. This video is probably getting so long. Oh my goodness, guys. Although I've had a few of you tell me now, it's okay, we like long videos, so if you're down, I'm down. It's all good. Alright, now these are those little bitty useless ones. Let's get rid of those. And I think I still need two more. Let me just reach over and grab them. So I'll probably go a red and a gold. If I can find another gold. I need to order eyelets. There's a red. I also need to get rid of all my little like eyelet backings. Ugh. But I'm not looking forward to going through my whole stash and doing that. Not at all. Oh, here's another red one. I don't want red. I want gold. Gold, 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 please, gold. There's one. I also don't organize my eyelets because I'm a bad person. There's one. And I need one more. Here it is. Got it. Okay. Every now and then we'll find out that people have some bad habits, and mine is like, I don't need to organize this. Like in small ways that are like kind of insignificant in terms of how things look. Like you don't look inside my eyelet bin to see that they're unorganized. You'll notice my shelves are very organized, but like, yeah, it's okay. Now, gold. Wait, last one. Is that on there? Yeah. Okay. Alrighty, let's put this away. Now I have ribbons that I want to put on here. So this one is, for the two red ones, I want to put black ribbons, and all the others I want to put red. So we'll start with these ones. Just fold this in half. String it on through. We'll tie a little, and then one single knot. Then just even these out a little. That's one. And the other red one now. This is like a cute little village of houses. Those two are done. And then I've got this nice red bias tape. So, see if I can fit it through here like a slip knot. I think I should be able to. But I need like tweezers to grab a hold of it. Oh, the tedious things we do. Maybe I'll do one of these and then I'll come back and I'll show all of them to you done so that you don't have to live through this with me. You can go and have a tea or something. I'll do this. I'll come back and we'll have all these cuties all done, and maybe I'll even clean my mess up so that like you can see them all together in a non-messy environment. Just having a great old time. Okay, so yeah, I will be back shortly with the end of this. Okay, so I'm just about done, but there was one more thing I wanted to share with you before I go. So if you're like me and you use a lot of like vintage like seam binding and things like this, bias tape to do these kind of things, see, this doesn't look as good, right, as this. This one's more open. How did I do that? So these are double like folded seams. I spilled a little water on my table on purpose over here, and then I'm just gonna wet it and roll my finger, and you see how it opens up your ribbon? It's going to take away that starching, that machine starch that happened when these were pressed into this tape shape, and then you're going to enjoy having that a lot nicer than what the original ribbon, you know, that you had on there as the folded, you know, bit. But anyways, here we are all done. And I absolutely love them. I feel like this is a town I would move to for sure. I love them. I think they're very cute. I like the colors. And these are my Kintsugi houses. I will throw some pictures up on Instagram for you as well. Thanks for joining me for this long haul video. Lots of techniques going on here, but hopefully you learned something or got an idea. Let me know what you think, and I will talk to you soon. Bye for now.